If I can't explain my business to a 10-year-old or a 8-year-old boy or a girl and they don't understand, then I'm not communicating in a way that is simple.
Hey there, my friend. You're listening to the Hot Mess Hotline, and this is Stephanie Crevens. You are in the right place if you are an ambitious leader who is charged with delivering on the tech of the future right now. In order to do that, you and your team need to upskill in the process and tackle old problems with new ways of thinking. In the past, we would have called this change management and leadership development, but change is now the air that we breathe, and your team needs a unified strategy for the 21st century. And that's exactly what we have for you here. These executive-level conversations are nuanced, insightful, and hard-earned lessons that you can put into practice as soon as this episode is over. Small tweaks can have huge impact. Take what's new and useful to you and leave the rest. Today's guest is Ravi. He is the CEO of Robosoft Technologies, and he's been in that role since late 2017. Robosoft, quite frankly, is the company that you engage with all of the time and don't know it because they're writing some of the most leading edge apps for the biggest app stores on the planet. Since becoming the CEO, Ravi has been a change agent at Robosoft, leading the transition to a full-service digital transformation company, expanding their service offerings many times over and setting up systems and talent in place in order to deliver end-to-end digital solutions for enterprise customers. Today's conversation is more about the future hot mess that Ravi knows he is walking into as a CEO, striving to build Robosoft from tens of millions of dollars in revenue to hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. Let's dig in, my friend.
Ravi, tell us about your hot mess that you have going on right now.
A background about me would help before I get into the mess that.
Yes.
But just to give you a perspective of who I am, I think I have a good balance of right and left brain.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a trained by academics. I'm an engineer, which has an analytical mind, and an MBA, which has a finance and a business mind, and a technology mind. But at the same time, I'm trained in sciences like ontology, epistemology, where I use and design thinking, where I use my creative part of the brain and the intangible part of the brain, where I understand human beings and understand empathy, and I'm able to do that. So I believe that I have both these balanced quite well within me, and grew up. I also believe that people need to be. We are all salespeople at the end of the day, whether we are selling products or not. We are selling ideas. We are selling stuff. If we want to make a decision within a family, if we want to go for a movie or go for shopping or go for something else, we are selling ideas to each other and convincing and enrolling people into those ideas. So selling is a skill that is not left to salesmen. It should be salespeople. It should be with everybody. And fortunately, I started my career as a salesperson. So I know that enrolling, convincing people into selling is important. And I believe that the best CEOs are the ones who are looking at growth, like what I call them as numerator CEOs, who are focused on growing organizations, because growth solves all problems. If we have stagnant in an organization, then there is politics, then there is fighting for the same pie. If the pie doesn't increase, then the growth doesn't happen, and we're all fighting for the same thing, and that's where politics actually happens. So with this mindset, 6 years back, I became CEO of a company which is called Robosoft Technologies. I'm currently the CEO for the last 6 years, and I took the company, which was not so profitable, which is small, 300 people, and now grown 6 times, highly profitable, help the founders and the private equity investors to sell it, make money for them. And now we are owned by a Japanese company, which is $1.5 billion company on the Tokyo Stock Exchange listed. And now I have to now challenged with taking this organization and growing to its next level of growth, which I have personally not seen. And I am now, where my earlier skills of doing it myself, showing it to people how to do it, is now I have to get it done with my 10 leaders who are working with me. So that's the challenge that I have. That's in your words, the hot mess that I'm
Yeah.
in, which we will get into more details as we speak.
The reason that I wanted to have this conversation with you is because as soon as we met, I could tell that you're both an empathetic leader as well as an analytical leader. And you understand the value of growing people and growing top line revenue, bottom line profit, all of those things. But what you are willing to be vulnerable enough about to say, I understand that what got me here won't get me there is such a lesson that so many leaders need. And while we're going to walk through this in real time with you versus kind of a glance back, for you to be vulnerable enough to share that, one, is an honor to hear and share. But two, I think helping other leaders like you understand the questions that you have to wrestle with from a new perspective when you're trying to grow the company exponentially on a pretty fast timeline, and having to be way more cognizant about your habits as a leader that can make or break their success these are real challenges. And just to connect back what you said, growth solves all problems. And I'm going to add, and it creates new ones that you haven't seen yet. And so you get to figure those out.
That's true. That's true.
This conversation is going to sound different than our typical format. And learning alongside Ravi in real time is going to have amazing benefits for those who listen in and can take these group coaching questions, self-coaching questions into whatever problem they're solving for. So one of the ways that Ravi and I first connected is that he referenced one of my, I call him one of my boyfriends, Marshall Goldsmith. He's the executive coaches of all executive coaches. And he's my mentor. He doesn't know me at all, but I adore this man. And we talked about the reality of what got you here won't get you there. And so, Ravi, would just love your insight into how did you come to know this for yourself?
Yeah, was this my reflection? I never knew about the book before I thought about it. So it was just accidentally, when I was thinking about it, me and my wife were having coffee late night in a restaurant. And in that restaurant, I saw the book and I said, this is exactly what I'm thinking. What got me here. So it's serendipitous that I could see the book when I was thinking about it. And the reason I say this is because we all are students of business, students of leadership. It'll be stupid for any sports person or a performing artist or somebody who's achieved a lot to say that I'm the perfectionist and I'm the guru. We all are students of the subjects in which we are. So that means learning is always a process and it never dies till the time you die or I die. And unlearning, and I believe the prerequisite to learning is unlearning, because there are a lot of things that I pick up on the way and treat them as gospels. And to unlearn that and to create space within my mind and heart for new things to come into that space, I need to empty it a bit. And that's the unlearning process, and which is more difficult than actually learning. So I said I started my work as a salesman. I was always about meeting people. I keep meeting my ex-bosses, ex-managers where I work with. And I was speaking to one of my ex-bosses whom I respect, and he's a mentor. And he said, Ravi, you are a front person. You're not an operational person. You're not a detailed person that you will do things in a lot of detail. You're not a desk person. You're out there meeting people, convincing people, enrolling people, and getting things done, which means the growth part. So focus there. And that's what I did my last 5 to 6 years when I am the CEO of Robosoft, where I met people in the US. I was in India, living in India, traveled to the US, traveled to UK, traveled to all the countries where we had customers. And did workshops and led some of those workshops. As a CEO of a small company, you can afford to do that. It's always not about getting things done through others. It's about doing it yourself, because that's the value proposition that a small company gives to its customers, that you have access to the topmost leaders, including the CEO. And I did that with my team, demonstrated, because one of the things was that we are an Indian company, Indian designers, Indian consultants, Indian developers, while India is known for its software development, but not so much known for its consulting and creative UX, UI. At least the world doesn't know. So the team that I inherited was, hey, I think we need to use local people in America to do all the customer facing work. India, we can do all the development work. So we were losing a lot of money. We were losing a lot of customer contact because we gave the relationships to other people and not, we didn't keep it with Robosoft. So I said, let's do it. I can do it. And I'll demonstrate that if we are good at our work, we can demonstrate that it doesn't matter whether you're a local American or local European, you can actually do it. Even if you're an Indian, but if you have the capability to do so. And what we do, we build these digital platforms, right? We build apps like McDonald's. If you want to buy burgers, how do you buy online? How do you watch content online, not on serial television, but on OTT platforms? We build OTT platforms. How do you pay online? How do you buy insurance online? How do you bank online? That's what we do. We make people buy things through their smartphones, through their web. And during COVID, that was the key thing that really picked up, because people were stuck at home and we became more and more relevant, and digital transformation and digital experience was more and more relevant. So I demonstrated stuff doing it myself, saying that, hey, customers expect us to tell them what they want because they treat us as experts. I can't go to a customer and ask, tell me what you want and I'll build it for you. I have to tell them because I have built 2,000 platforms. So they treat me as an expert. So I say, I can tell you, but I want to meet your consumers who can, empathize. I mean, I need to empathize with them, and I want to run empathy sessions with them, and I can do it for you. I can design it for you. So I did that all. And we grew last 5-6 years. And now I have to take that growth and do it at a much higher scale. Yes. Now I need more leaders. I need more people who can do it. I need to now delegate stuff. So I was in a board call with my boss just yesterday, and we are losing one client, which is a significant client. We're not entirely using, but they're halving our business. And he said that, Ravi, you are an offensive, your role is more offensive, that you are out there, getting things done. You need to have a defensive person who's your number two, who takes care of risks and who takes care of things that are operational in nature. So how do I create that capability in the organization where I delegate responsibility, I delegate my KPIs. I can't be this same CEO that everything came to me, and which was still okay when we were small. But now that we are growing and we have grown very fast, I need to now have more people whom I trust, who are capable to support me while I'm on the offensive. Somebody needs to take care of the base that we have built that doesn't break while we are building more and more floors on the same base, right? So these are some of the learnings that I'm having, and I keep talking to leaders who have done this before, and I keep meeting them, not just my bosses or mentors, but I speak to so many people, and that's how I'm able to tackle.
Yes. One of the things that I've heard in our short time together is you seem to have a perspective of there's a yin and yang for everything, right? There's an offensive person, so we need a defensive person. I'm analytical and I'm on the creative side, left brain, right brain. I need to learn and I need to unlearn. What discipline have you created for yourself, or how do you keep that kind of I'll use the words yin and yang. I'm not sure if those are the right ones, but how do you keep that perspective top of mind as you continue to figure out how to solve new challenges?
One thing is to know my strengths, Stephanie, is what are my strengths? I mean, nobody is perfect, so I can't have all the qualities of that are needed to make a certain business successful or a certain project successful. So you need a team. And when I recruit people and when I build my team, I want to ensure that I'm not recruiting somebody who's very similar to me. So I'm hiring people where my weaknesses are. So if I'm not a detailed and an operational person, I'm more visionary and more strategic and more outgoing, then let me hire somebody who's more detailed, more operational, so that that part, which is an important skill which I don't possess, I hire that skill and somebody else has that. And I'm not trying to change that person because I hired that person for specifically that skill. I can't now go and tell him or her, oh, now you're not a visionary, you're not strategic, but I didn't hire him or her for that, right? So understanding my own strengths and weaknesses is important, and then keeping in mind when I'm hiring people, because it's easy to hire people whom you naturally connect with. So if I
Very easy.
connect with you, yeah, with Stephanie, she agrees to everything that I say, and wow, so easy to hire, easy to
She's so
work
smart.
with.
She loves everything I love.
Yeah. So you don't need yes people around you,
Yes.
right? You need people who challenge you. You need people who have different skill sets, who have, and that's why diversity is also important, not with only people with different skills, but different type of people, different ethnicity, different countries, different cultures. And now we are Japanese owned. So I now understand how Japanese work. They are not hire and fire like, the Western world. They are more patient and more, if you have bad news, tell them up front, plan for it, do analysis, what happened, learn from it, and then move on. So that's how they work. Indians work differently. So understanding cultures. We are a global organization. We are in Europe, we are in the US, we are in Japan, and we are in India. So we can't have the same rule fits all sort of a culture. So the yin and yang is firstly understanding that there is another thing in my you use so many words of unlearning and learning and analytical and creative and yin and yang, but there is another thing called right and wrong, and I have removed these two words from my dictionary. There's no right or there's no wrong. We all make choices, and each of our choices have consequences, and I need to take responsibilities of those consequences. Yes. So what's right for me can be wrong for you. What's right for you can be wrong for me. So it's all perspective. So, differentiate between fact and interpretation. So a fact is that somebody did something and we lost this project. Interpretation is, we are not good at it, or we didn't do well, or the customer doesn't like us. These are interpretations. But to really understand what really happened, instead of interpreting it negatively, or you just go and speak to people and what happened and correct it and move forward. So I think, just to summarize, understanding my own strengths and weaknesses, and then ensuring that my business would need these skills, and hiring for those skills, hiring people and giving them the space and empowerment to do things their way is, I think, one of the solutions that I typically do, and I need to do more and more as we grow.
Yes. One of the quotes that I learned early on in my training and development career, it's from the philosopher Rumi, and forgive me for butchering this, but the essence is, out beyond the fields of right and wrong. There is a field out beyond the fields of right and wrong, and I'll meet you there. And that has always stuck with me, because my natural personality style is, I am right, I am stubborn, I am strong-willed, I get my blinders on and I go. And thank the good Lord up above, I've matured since learning that about my personality style, to leave room for other styles. But to me, that's one of the most powerful perspectives that we can bring into our workplace, because there are very few truly right and truly wrong answers. There are ways to treat people right. There are a few truths that I hold to be near and dear to my heart, but there's like 2 or 3 of them, not the 57 that people pretend that there are in the workplace. And acknowledging that what is right for you may be wrong for me, and that's okay, just allows us to be human and to give each other grace and problem solve together versus making people the villain and making themselves the hero of the situation.
That's true. Yeah.
And I say that as soon as I hang up from this phone call today, from this recording, I get to have one of those conversations where we all have very misaligned expectations. So let's get those aligned, because the frustration is mounting, and it's no one did anything wrong. It's just we all have different expectations. So let's figure out what those are and get them reconciled so we can work together and have fun while doing it, not be frustrated together.
Absolutely. The journey is equally important than the destination.
Yes. I love that. You mentioned that at this stage of growth for Robosoft, it needs more leaders. How would you define what kind of leaders Robosoft needs now?
When we were growing, as I said, we were small. Our deal sizes were, say, $50,000 per project. When we do build a mobile app for a small startup or even an enterprise, for us, an average minimum deal size would be $50,000. We've now moved it in the last 5-6 years to $500,000. Okay. So an average deal for us today is not less than $500,000.
Yes.
Now we have to now move to another level where I need to demonstrate 3 times growth in the next 5 years, where deal sizes now need to be at least in the $1 million range. So I'm hiring leaders who have seen scale, who have demonstrated scale, who have, who are not thinking small. And so those are one of the type of leaders. Then we are a global organization. So leaders need to empathize with working with different cultures, working with different time zones. So if I'm in the US as we speak today in the morning, India is sleeping. Japan might just be waking up.
Yes.
UK is in their evening. So we are a global organization. How do you work across time zones where capabilities and people are multi-located in various countries and various time zones? So I need leaders who have done that before. So multicultural, multi-time zone, scaled leaders. And these are the key main things that I look for. And then, of course, we have our own values that we assess, our values of passion and teamwork and creativity. And our core purpose is to, we all do software development, we all do design of applications, but that's the work that we do. That's the what that we do. How we do it is also sometimes an easy question to answer, which is, we are more agile. Once we sign a contract with a client, we never throw the contract at them ever, saying that, we will always fulfill what we have promised. And
Yes.
we will, so we are different in that way. We have access to leadership. So that's how we are different. But the main question, if you know Simon Sinek as a thought leader, he says organizations need to answer the why part.
Mm-hmm.
People know what they do. Some people know how they do, but not many people know why they do what they do. So why do we wake up every day and build this software? If we can connect to the why, then employees give their blood, sweat, and tears, and not just for the paycheck. So our why is what we define. We said we are in the business of not just building software, but we are in the business of simplifying people's lives,
Mm-hmm.
of how they get entertained online, how they buy online, how they bank online, how they pay online, how they get insured online from wherever they are, from any time of the day. So simplifying their lives and doing it simple. So our motto is less is more. So, give people less and you can get a lot of things done through that less. And that's for our motto. So simplifying lives is our purpose. And I look at people when I hire them, do they really, leaders when they hire them, do they really complicate things, or are they, can they have the ability to simplify things and
Yes.
make things happen? Because a lot of things that are successful in life are simple. A lot of things that we like is simple. So if I can't explain my business to a 10-year-old or a 8-year-old boy or a girl, and they don't understand, then I'm not communicating in a way that is simple. Because people, when we design, my products and my apps, if you find it difficult to use, that's not your problem. It's my problem because I'm not able to design it well enough for you to use it in a very simple way. I've complicated it. So I need to design and build it for the most stupidest person out there who can be an old mother of mine wants to buy her grocery online, or a young child who wants to search for his or her favorite movie online, or a housewife who wants to do a payment of something that she has bought online. So if I can't make it simple for them, and if they have to be equally computer science and data science experts to use these products, then
Yes.
it's my problem. So I hire for that purpose. I hire for people who have seen scale. I hire for the values that we have. So these are the things that I look for when I hire leaders.
Yeah. Would you say that Robosoft, let's say 10 years ago, saw itself as an app developer company versus a company that simplifies people's lives?
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we do, but that's not why we do what we do.
Yes. Yeah. How has that transition served Robosoft in its growth?
It is intangible in a way, because if I go and tell my client they've given me an RFP to respond to build an app and design an app, and if I go and say I simplify lives, they'll say, "Are you mad? You need to respond to this RFP."
I know, right? Yes. You're going to ask for money for that?
Correct. So you need to demonstrate your technical skills, your software development skills, your design skills, your understanding of the domain. We need to demonstrate all that. So that's all is necessary, but not sufficient. When people connect, they don't connect at a what level, they connect at a why level. Because I've built systems, processes, people, skills, culture, because I want to ensure that whatever we do for you, of course, I need to have the technical skills and the design skills and the domain skills to build something for you. But on top of that, I need to understand that whatever I do for you makes an impact, a positive impact to your end users. And I want to empathize with their lives, because people have limited time and they have to buy something, pay something. Then I need to make it easy for them. I have that attitude that I provide. So whether I win deals because of my mission statement or my purpose, I don't think so. But when I talk in a way that this is why we wake up every day, thousands of Robosoftians wake up every day to do this. They have all the necessary skills to build the software and to design, but at the same time, they have this mission that they are impacting. They know that they're impacting millions and billions of lives. That connects with my customers, and my customers say, I think, yeah, we are speaking to the right people. There are 10 companies that are competing. They all have similar technical skills, similar domain skills, but I think here are some humans who are speaking to and whom I can relate to. Strangely, the company, we got acquired by the Japanese company, and they also said one of the reasons that we acquired you was also your purpose, which said simplify lives. It connects us as Japanese to such a purpose. So you never know that how it connects and when it connects. I can't say that just because this is my purpose and people gave me the projects, but people do connect at this level. I need to have the basic skills of building software, but at the same time, I need to connect with people. And I think our purpose really connects to our customers, to our employees, and people who have to work sometimes 24/7. Our employees have worked on projects where we have to put it in production before Christmas, and it's just a few days away, and we have to work day in and day out. They won't ask for an extra paycheck or extra money. They'll say, hey, I'm working for this purpose. I'm impacting people's lives. Let me do it. And that's why they're passionate about it.
Yes. That makes so much sense. And I keep thinking of folks like my grandma. She's technically my grandma-in-law, but that doesn't matter at this point. But she's been homebound for many years. And one of the ways that she is able to delay moving into a nursing home, which if anyone hasn't heard, the stats on moving into a nursing home and mental decline and social decline and emotional decline, it's very, very drastic. So it's one of those pieces where you want to avoid that for as long as possible. And when I think about your work and simplifying grocery delivery for a 90-something-year-old woman who was born, when cars were just starting to be sold in mass, like to enable her to have food at her home because you simplified app delivery, like that's life-changing stuff right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Versus like, how can we put in as many bells and whistles and do all these things? It's no, how can we simplify? How can we simplify and ease distraction and help focus the purpose of this app so that the least technical person can benefit from these services now available in the 21st century?
I couldn't have put it in better words than what you did, Stephanie.
Let's go back to our Robosoft. How did you say it? Robosoftians?
Robosoftians, yes.
Yes. You've told me before it's really important to you all to not use the words human resources, human capital. What do you use to describe your people, and why does that matter?
Human possibilities.
Human possibilities, yes.
Yeah. And again, I don't want to take credit for using these two words. I learned it from one of the gurus in India. He's also quite world famous. He's called Sadhguru. And he runs a program called Inner Engineering. So anything that you want to manifest in your life, look inwards. Don't expect outside of what you are. There's a lot that you can do by inner engineering. So I follow him, and he's the one who said that humans are not resources because resources are consumed. Humans are not even capital. Sometimes people say human capital. Capital can depreciate, but humans are a potential. Humans are a possibility. Each of us is a possibility. So how do we tap into those possibilities? And if we can tap into thousands of engineers and thousands of employees' possibilities, look at an organization that we were building. It's not based on one CEO or 10 leaders. It's based on thousands of people who have great ideas, great potential, great possibilities. If we can involve them in coming up with new products, new solutions, new services, imagine these are all free of cost in your organization. You don't need to pay anybody to get ideas. You have them. These are knowledge workers. They are not, white collar. They're not blue collar workers who are just told in the industrial economy. They were just told what to do. Today we have thinking people in the knowledge economy.
Yes.
So that's why we call our head of people as human possibilities head.
Very cool. What you're describing is the positive effects of sharing accountability down into an entire organization. A lot of the groups that we work with, part of the reason they're really struggling and quite frankly stymieing or plateauing their own growth is because the top level leaders are unable, unwilling for a variety of reasons to share accountability, to share responsibility, to also delegate, right? There's an element of if I can't trust you to be accountable, I can't trust you to delegate work to. And you can only imagine the immense amount of pressure that it creates on top level leaders, the endless hours, the endless problem solving, the decision fatigue, the just straight running out of steam. And so they're frustrated every day. And so one of the things that we work with our clients on specifically is driving accountability into all levels of the organization for each level to have responsibility for solving the right problem at the right level with the right resources at the right time. What are some ways that your organization, that Robosoft, is thinking about making sure all levels, all individuals understand the accountability they need to hold for this kind of growth?
Yeah. So one is we are a systems-driven organization. So while people are important, and I can't reiterate how important people are, but at the same time, when you grow and grow exponentially, you need to have processes and systems kick in. So everybody has key objectives. We use a methodology called the balanced scorecard. You talk about balance. The
Yep.
scorecard is
Of
always
course you would use the balanced scorecard, Ravi.
yeah. So the scorecard is always not about financial numbers. Of course, they are important, but they are in effect. But the important numbers and customer value proposition, what's your value proposition, how good are our processes, and how good are we on the human gap, people front, skills front, culture front, and the technology front. So a lot of intangible things is what we measure, because what gets measured gets done. And measuring intangible is important. Measuring finance is easy. Measuring profitability is easy.
Yep.
But how do we measure intangible stuff? So we are able to do that. We have a management quality system that allows us to do that. And then as far as my personal communication with all the employees, I have quarterly town halls where I communicate what we have done in the quarter, what we are planning to do in the next quarter, what's our vision, where have we failed, where have we succeeded, what are the things for improvement. Then I do my monthly leadership meetings with my top leaders, and we discuss every month what are our operational challenges, and every quarter we discuss what are our strategic challenges. Do we need to take a different strategic path? And then every fortnight, I have more what I call a skip level meetings, where I skip my leaders and go directly to their direct reportees, because it's important to understand. I just don't want to hear, while accountability is important, and I make them responsible and accountable, and they are responsible for their teams. But at the same time, for me to have access to what really the organization is thinking, I skip one level and go down. And this is not to break hierarchy, but this is to just give them access to who I am and understand directly from them. So I want to ensure that my information that comes to me is not filtered by my direct reportees. I have access to them, and they have access to me, the next level of leaders. So I reach out to my employees to communicate accountability, to communicate our future direction, to communicate our future growth through metrics, through communication, through measurement, through script level meetings and discussions. And when I'm very particular in my meetings, that when I am talking in my leadership meeting, I don't give my opinion first, because if I give my opinion, everybody might tend to agree to me first. I go across the table, give them, ask them to be vulnerable and give suggestions, ideas, and then we pick up what's best for us, and we vote for it, and then we go ahead and implement some of those.
How far down into the organization are these skip level meetings happening? Do you know?
Yes, so it happens at all levels. I skip one level, and my leaders would skip another level, and
Awesome.
they skip another level. So we have a view, not just with our direct reports, but to one level below.
Okay.
And then, of course, when I do the town hall, of course, then I'm skipping everybody. And then it's all 1,200 people online and somebody physically in the office.
That makes sense. Yeah, it's been amazing to me to watch how information gets filtered to the top line leader, if it's the CIO, the CEO, whatever that is. There is a lot of watering down of information and glossing over that is really unhelpful to the CEO to make great decisions, and in my opinion leads to creating a perception of, oh, well, our top level leader doesn't understand what's happening down with us, at the coding level, because the way feedback and communication just gets generalized, a lot of jargon gets inserted, which means very little, all of those pieces. So
Sure.
The skip level meetings really seem to be key tools to eliminating that problem.
That's true.
Interesting. So for those who don't know, I'd love to hear some examples of the intangibles that you track and the management quality system, because it, like you said, profitability is easy to track. Hard numbers are easy to track. It just takes some discipline and a system to do it. What are some of these intangibles that are in your management quality system or balanced scorecard?
Yeah. And if you take the bottommost level of the most intangible stuff that we can track is the culture.
Okay.
So our values, how do we live those values? We have rewards and recognition on people living our values being actually rewarded and recognized. It's not just people who do projects well, but also people who have lived our values. And values are something that we don't really we're very particular that everyone follows, and people who demonstrate that significantly, we value them. So there's a culture assessment that we do on our values and how good we are on our values. Then there is skills readiness, because although we are a app development company, the skills that we might require compared to hundreds of other companies might be similar. We might say the same technical skills, same skills of Java or .NET or Android or iOS or Apple or any other skill. But the skills that are really different, that is how are we different than other organizations? So how do we align and teach people that once we promise something to the client, we have to deliver? That's a skill, or that's a communication, and we measure people on that, not just on technical skills. We don't do projects on waterfall methodology, as an example, where things follow serially. We do things parallelly, and we can get things done parallelly. So we can have production ready code available every 2 weeks. So that requires agile thinking, and we have that particular skill. So these are the things that we measure ourselves and see how ready we are in the organization. And then being multi-cultural and multi-country, we also have importance on language. So Japanese now is important. Not everybody speaks Japanese. We've got some Spanish customers, so we are getting some people to learn Spanish. So skills readiness is measured, culture readiness is measured, leadership. What constitutes leadership is not the top 10 people. We need to build leaders at all levels. And what does leadership mean? And how do we measure leadership? So we measure leadership. Then technology readiness. A lot of what we do can be automated, can be done by technology. So how automated are our processes? How we automated our CRM processes, our project management processes, or our full processes? How do we automate all those? How technology ready we are? And then our processes, we measure processes on speed. If we have to develop a software, how much time does it take? Does it take 3 months, or can we do it in 1.5 months? The speed of our processes, the cost of our processes, the quality of our processes. So cost, time, and quality is something that we measure our processes. How much time does it take to win a deal? Our average deal winnability cycle is maybe 6 months. Can we reduce it to 4 months? Can we do things faster? What do we need to do to help our customers take decisions faster? And then we measure our value proposition. What is the promise to our client? What do clients expect from us? And we do customer feedback assessment, and we measure that. And all that we believe are in a cause and effect linkage. So if we are a learning organization, we will always improve our processes. If we are improving our processes, our customers will see the value. And if our customers see value in us, they'll buy more from us. And that's why we'll make money, and we'll make money more profitably. And the customers might be interested to give us that extra percentage of pricing. We might be more premium pricing. So customers are ready to give it to us. And we are not just a fly-by-night commodity operator. We are a premium company. So when we demonstrate all this, our customers really appreciate it.
Yes. And just for listeners, I want to connect the dots with what Ravi said, because he made a full circle from intangibles, the differentiators that make Robosoft, to the why and the value that they add to clients' lives through measuring things that don't typically get measured. And so really simple example, my friends, if you heard what Ravi said, they are now a global company that is prioritizing work in the US, Europe, Japan, and India. Did I get that right, Ravi? Those 4 locations, right? So one of their measures then is language and the ability to communicate with customers in those locales. And so you can count at a systems level how many bilingual or trilingual speakers you have, what language it is, and what departments they're in, to then get insight into your ability to deliver to clients, not just in the locale that they live. And so that is a count of how global you can be or how you can serve your global customers. So very simple, but it's easy to map then to location, services, functions in the company, how global your company is. I always say, don't church this up. Like, if you need people who have different language skills, count how many language skills you have and where they sit in the organization and what languages you are. And that helps you understand your depth and breadth of being able to serve from a global perspective. And so Ravi also mentioned, things that they're counting around speed and process. We've got leadership counts. We've got tech readiness. How many things can we automate in different parts of the business? These are all ways to count or create some kind of KPI, if you will, around what is important to your organization. And by keeping it very simple, it's easy to measure.
Right, Steph. Yes.
Yeah. And the fancy book, what you measure, what is it? What gets measured?
What gets measured
matters.
gets done.
Yes.
What measured gets done.
Yes.
Gets done.
So then you measure it and it gets done.
In God we trust, everybody else brings data.
I've never heard that one. I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
Could not agree more. Oh my gosh. Oh, amazing stuff. And I could like ask you questions for probably 4 more hours here, but you have a world to simplify and change. So I'm going to let you get back to that in a second. And here's my one last question. Let's say that you and I are having another version of this conversation after you all have reached your very ambitious goals, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years out. What story do you want to be able to tell about the kind of leader that you were for Robosoft during this time?
You ask me to jump 5 years from now and imagine where I am. One thing that I have been trained as a leader is my previous organizations have created leaders and created CEOs. So I moved from my earlier company. My earlier boss moved from his earlier company. If an organization can create an ecosystem of potential CEOs and leaders, I would like to see that from my organization, nobody is married to one organization. We'll all be in different organizations at different points of time. And if I have worked with people who are potential future leaders, who are existing leaders, and if they become CEOs of other companies, I'll be so proud of them. I'm not saying that they should leave me and go to another company.
No, you are not saying that. No.
Yes. But if they do, I want to see them as leaders, and I want to see them as CEOs, or not just CEOs, any CXO. So while I want Robosoft to grow, I want us to be in whatever field we choose, in whatever area we choose. In this case, app development, but we are expanding to a digital experience company or a digital transformation company. We want to be among the top 3 in the world at some point of time. Might not happen in 3 or 4 years or 5 years, but we want to be $1 billion organization. We want to really grow. I need my leaders whom I trust. I need to hire more leaders who add diversity. But if I need to be seen as what sort of a leader I have been, of course, I've helped my company grow. I've created, impacted people's lives, not just my customers, but also my employees, my own leaders. They have benefited by working with me. And wherever they go in their lives, they would say that, hey, I've learned a lot from Robosoft, and I'm taking some of those ideas. And by working with Ravi, this is what I've learned. And of course, I've learned a lot by working with them. But this is how I would like to see myself. So if we do this a few years from now, I'm sure I'll have different problems to solve, different scale issues to solve.
Yes.
And as I said growth solves all problems. And I'll take your point that growth will create new problems. So I like that also. And so hopefully both of us will connect and I'll talk about the newer challenges and the newer problems and what I have unlearned and learned in the next 5 years. I'll come and communicate back to you.
I love that. I love that. And I'm going to borrow that from you, just this, because we're a learning and development company first, and we focus on learning, and we also need to focus on unlearning. That's beautiful and powerful. So thank you. Thank you so much for this conversation. It's been a joy, and it's been an honor to hear some of this inside thinking that we don't share enough as, share enough as leaders, because we get in our bubbles. And I know a lot of folks listening in are like, oh my gosh, everyone else has it figured out and I don't have it figured out. And what am I doing? And the secret is we don't all have it figured out. We're just figuring it out as we go and making the best decision that we can with the information that we have in the moment, and being willing to learn and unlearn as we go along.
Yes. And just the last few words from me. Yes. Stephanie, I was always intrigued. Why do we call organizations as learning organizations? Why do we want to build learning organizations and not sharing organizations? So the reason I say that is because a lot of people think that learning doesn't happen because people are not ready to share. And I have learned very hard way that people are ready to share. Where is the audience? Who's ready to learn? Because we are all getting into meetings, getting into situations and saying that, hey, I know everything. I don't need to learn from anybody.
Yes.
So an organization learns when people say that I don't know enough. And that's a vulnerable state. And we in organizations, have we created that space and where people can easily say without being failed that, I don't know enough. I want to learn. So the onus of creating a learning organization is on the learners and not the sharers. Because if you asked me to come onto this podcast, what does it do? I'm so ready to share. I didn't know who Stephanie was. She reached out and I'm ready to share because it boosts my ego, that people are ready to learn. So the onus is on the learners. It's not on the sharers. And that's the big takeaway for me in my life. Yeah.
Yes. Agreed. The willingness to say, I don't know, I think is probably one of the biggest gaps in most organizations we work with. We show up to meetings ready to tell everyone what we know and what we've done and why everyone else is wrong and didn't follow through. And none of that is helpful. None of that.
Correct.
Yes. Love it. Well, Ravi, I cannot wait to see where Robosoft goes from here and to stay in touch. And it's been a joy getting to know you through these conversations. So thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you. Have a nice day.
You too.
I took pages and pages of notes from my conversation with Ravi. I just felt like I learned so much about the skill, the insight, the nuance, the presence, the mindfulness that it takes to lead a company from, let's say, 45 million to 145 million, the Robosoft of the future and where they are growing. Here's the bottom line for me from this conversation. And again, like I said, I walked away with so much, but the number one thing, and I wrote it on my whiteboard because it is going to stick with me for the rest of my life, and I've been bringing it into our client conversations since our recording, is in order to learn, you have to recognize what you have to unlearn. We have to make space for new ways of thinking. We have to leave old patterns behind in order to get to the next level. So my question for you, my friend, is what do you need to unlearn in order to learn, in order to do something bigger, badder, more impressive, more amazing into the future? I would be so grateful that if you got value from this episode, you would share it with another pro troublemaker in your circle who also needs these lessons and to hear this inspiration. So if you would please share this with someone in your network, I would be so grateful, as it helps us reach even more folks who are seeking to drive change like we are here in this world. And with that, let's get off the medias. Let's get into the real work that makes an impactful difference every single day. And I'll see you soon, my friend.